Welcome to session 6. Today we're going to be talking about more about priorities and decision making. I don't know if you remember about a million years ago when we were talking about the 80-20 principle, where it was basically if you put 80% of your effort into the top 20% of your priorities, right? If you put your effort into that, you're going to get the most bang for your buck, right? If you concentrate on your top 20%, you are going to get 80% of what you want. For example, when I'm not going to reteach it, but basically like if your top 2 priorities are, I need to stream and make good content and I need to connect to my community. If everything after that, I need to fix my OBS and I need to make better overlays and connect on Twitter and blah, blah, blah. If you don't do any of those other things, but the only 2 things you do is have a good stream or a good content, make good content, and then you jump into the Discord and connect to your community, you've done 80% of your job. All that other stuff isn't insignificant, but it is. But if you forget the top 2, you're in real trouble, right? So today we're going to continue that conversation and basically kind of keeping that 80-20% rule, that principle in our mind as we move into realizing that we have to structure and organize our life, our decision-making, and our priorities properly if we're going to make good, meaningful, helpful, purposeful content. It is actually a lot of work to do this. I'm proceeding under the assumption that you guys want to take this seriously. I'm proceeding under the assumption that you believe that this is something you're supposed to do, that you feel like God has called you into something, whether it be your content or community building or digital missions or whatever you're doing, and that you want it to grow and you want it to help people, right? That you're not doing this just for fun. It can be fun. We're allowed to have fun, but it's not just for fun. It's meant to be purposeful. So, purposeful Christian content creation and community development is a lot of work. If you don't, or if you want to bear fruit, you need to take it seriously. To tell a bit of my story. So when I first started this thing, I knew it was going to be a lot of work, and so I had actually set aside. I don't know what I'm doing. When I first started streaming, I went from I've never watched Twitch to I'm a full-time streamer in like a week, which I don't recommend. You should probably look into it before you do that. But I felt that God was pulling me in that direction. So I just did it. And I started hitting it as hard as I could. It was 14, 15-hour days, 7 days a week, months on end. Every day I made a commitment for, and I did this for a year and a half, that every single day I would do something to improve my stream, something to learn about how to do better in content creation. And I focused on it really, really hard. And I always felt like I was a little bit behind, because as we all know, as they say, the grind is real. And when you start putting together content, if you really want to quote unquote grow, and you're starting to do all the little tricks and do all the little things they say, whether it be doing the shorts and connecting through the Discord and putting together good graphics and making good ideas and connecting to all the new things that you want to be able to share and having good jokes and good ideas and doing the background and all the things that kind of come with it, it's a lot of work. Just if you were to take and make a stream and then try to spit out a YouTube video, that in itself is a lot of work. But I believe strongly that if we're gonna do this and we believe it's what God wants us to do, we need to take it seriously, and we need to understand that if we do, and we are called, and God is in it, that's where we're gonna find fruit. It's when we decide that we're gonna assume God's gonna do it all, or we're gonna assume that it's just like as long as I show up, it's good enough. That's where we're going to start getting frustrated with ourselves and where the fruit's not going to be able to happen the way we want it to. If you feel that God has called you to use your talents for his glory and the good of others, it will require sacrifice, humility, and strength of character. Sacrifice, meaning you're going to have to get rid of some stuff that you want, right? There are things that you're going to want to be able to do, whether it be sleep or whether it be go out on whatever Friday night, or whether it be you want to play a certain game or do a certain project but it doesn't fit your community. It's going to require you to sacrifice part of yourself, part of your time, your treasures, your talents. It's going to cost you money. That's the way it is. If you want to be serious about this, you got to recognize it's going to cause sacrifice. It's going to cost you. It's going to be humbling. As you go through this process, you're going to realize that it's a lot harder than you thought it was. There are people out there that aren't going to listen the way you hope that they would listen. You're going to find people that are, literally antagonistic against you. And if you walk in prideful, A, thinking you know what you're doing, or B, thinking you deserve all of views, you deserve everything because look at how great you are, you're going to be humbled quickly. So walking with humility and going, I need help, and um, I need people I'm going to need time to practice, and I'm not as good as I could be. And I need to, there's a lot that I need to understand that I don't know yet. If you walk in humbly, you're going to be able to be a lot more effective. And then strength of character. Essentially, it comes down to self-discipline. We've talked about this before. And that is, if you're serious about bearing fruit, you're going to require self-discipline. You're going to have to require, getting rid of those things that are intimidating you, the insecurities, all the stuff that we'd already kind of talked about. If those things are taking over, it's going to eat away at the fruit, and it's going to you're going to be miserable about it, because it's assuming it's just going to happen and that it's going to be natural is going to shoot you in the foot. You have to realize that you're going to have to take the reins on this thing, and it's a purposeful choice to do this rather than something reactive. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. Let me just pause and ask the question before we get into the whole thing, because we're about to hit a fire hose of content, and just kind of ask the question when it comes to that, it's really hard work. How have you experienced that? Or have you discovered that, like, you thought it maybe wasn't as hard as it was, but then it became harder and harder? Or have you, like, what's your experience with that? All right, so we're going to talk about how to make good content, and really about prioritization and all the decision-making stuff. And I'm going to use an illustration about climbing up a mountain. We're going to, going from the bottom of the mountain to the top of the mountain, and how all the things that can kind of get in the way of you getting there. Let's say the top of the mountain is who you want to be as a content creator, or the people you want to serve, or whatever your goal is, the mission that you have, the vision in your head of the people you want to reach and the people where you want to bring them, and then seeing that fruit that God has put into their life. How do you get there? Let's just say we're at the bottom of the mountain and we're on our way up. What's going to get in the way? Well, let's just start here. Number one, activity doesn't equal accomplishment. Just because you're sweating doesn't mean you're going anywhere. Marching in circles will never get you to the top. And that really comes down to how many people, we've all experienced this, I'm sure we've all done it, and that is, we want to feel busy, we want to do something, we want to feel like we're being productive, but we don't necessarily want to do the hard stuff. We don't want to do the complicated stuff. We don't, our brains are kind of potato salad that day, and so we don't want to learn a bunch of difficult things, and so we just start doing a thing. Right? We move around our overlays, or we test out that new software, or we download some things, or we go and we mess with the audio, like whatever it is. The point behind here is, just because you're doing something doesn't mean you're moving your vision forward. Doesn't mean you're actually producing what you want to produce. Doesn't mean you're serving the people that you said that you wanted to serve through your content. Your job in every piece of content is to move your audience closer to where you want them to be, not waste your time or theirs by trying to stay busy. Okay? That's a critical point that I firmly believe in, and that a lot of people really struggle with. Because if you can't say why you're doing what you're doing, releasing what you're releasing, sharing what you're sharing, if it's not designed to move things forward in the mission that you have, or the vision that you have for the people that you're trying to serve, then what was the point of putting that out there? Right? If it's, and there are a lot of ways that it's, this is just for fun, I was just doing it to be silly or whatever. And that's fine if part of your mission is like, I want to be silly to build community. I want to have fun to connect with the people that are in my Discord, or in my channel, or I want to draw something that I haven't drawn before, just so I can show people something fun, and so I can inspire them that we can draw different things. Or I want to release a song that is different, or I want to make a podcast about something completely weird. But the purpose behind it is because the people that are that I'm reaching, or the audience that I'm trying to grab onto, or the people that I've already gotten that I'm trying to move forward, this will help them in some kind of way. If you process everything that you do through the lens of, in what way will this push people forward? In what way will this accomplish my mission? It'll allow you to cut out a whole lot of things that are part of that sort of that bottom 80%, or even that aren't supposed to be in the priority list at all. Good ideas versus great ideas, right? I believe that if you don't have a plan, and you don't walk into with a plan, and you don't have a reason for doing what you're doing, you're wasting your audience's time, you're wasting your time, and there was no point behind it. Just showing up isn't enough. Having a reason to be there and a place to go, that's why you're there. This is purposeful content creation, not simply to create content. A lot of people out there just showing up on stream. A lot of people out there just releasing a video that has nothing to do with nothing, that doesn't help anybody, that doesn't move anybody forward, that doesn't create community, that doesn't do all the things that we say we want to do as a Christian content creator. We're different, right? Our stuff is purposeful. So you ask the question, what's the mission for your channel? We've talked about this before. If you don't have a good answer yet, I suggest you go back in the book or back into the class and kind of ask that question. What's my vision? Who's my audience? How do I discover who that is? And what message am I trying to give? All that stuff. If you don't know what your mission is, as in these are the people that I'm trying to serve, this is the voice that I have, this is the reason that I'm allowed to talk to them, and this is where I want them to go. Like, for example, I want to reach young women, and because those young women are in a situation where where they're victims of abuse or they're, pregnancy or whatever, and I want to bring them to a place where they feel loved, cared, supported, and are able to be great, self-confident people that know Jesus and are able to live in this world in a meaningful way. That's where I want to go. So when you put out that content, or you make that tweet, or you draw that picture, or you release that song, or you make that podcast episode, you ask yourself, okay, is that accomplishing my mission? Is it moving people a little bit forward towards where that is? And it doesn't have to be always informative, because your mission isn't just simply give them knowledge. I mean, maybe it is, but give them knowledge. It is, I'm building a community, so therefore, does this do that? I am trying to give them security. Does this do that? I'm trying to help them feel safer. Does this do that? I'm trying to demonstrate my love for them. Does this do that? Right? And that can be done in a million different ways. But if it doesn't, if it's just purposeless, you end up having that marching in circles, sweating, feeling like you're doing something when nothing's getting accomplished. So you ask yourself, how will this stream, song, video, poem, podcast, event move people closer to whatever that mission is? Feel free to interrupt at any time. I'm going to keep going, plowing through this thing. But if you want to say something, just raise your hand or say something. All right, next. We're on the work smarter, not harder. We all know this. We all kind of agree with it. What does it mean? If you are going up that mountain, then carrying things you don't need or can't manage is going to slow everybody down. So give that to someone who can manage it. For example, say you're the person who has the compass and the map, and you're the one in the front, and you're supposed to tell them what path to get to the top. Well, if you carry a bunch of stuff on your back and you're carrying a bunch of other things in your hands because you want to feel useful and you want to, feel bad because you're not carrying a bunch of stuff, and it impedes your ability to tell people where to go, how to get there. You can't get to your compass now. The map is stuffed in the back of the bag. Then you are doing everybody a disservice, because your job wasn't to carry everything. Your job was to get people to the right place at the right time using the right road. So if you have the skills to do a certain thing, do that certain thing. And the rest of it, push it to the side. Concentrate your energies on what you are capable of or good at, and cut and delegate the rest. The example I tend to use for this is budgeting, right? A lot of people just hate doing budget stuff. They don't like money stuff. They don't like numbers, math, blah. Accounting is weird math already. It's already hard to do. And some people just kind of avoid it. But you got it, right? It's just how the world works. It's how ministry works. It's how your life works. It's how your home works. You need to have some kind of budget. Maybe you are terrible at it. Delegate it. Find somebody who's going to do that for you. Find somebody who's going to help you out with that. Find a volunteer to do that. Or employ someone and say, listen, this is really important, but I can't take the 50 hours it's going to help me figure out how to do my taxes when I'm a nonprofit, but not really in the home. I don't know what to do. Pay someone to do it. Move on with your life, right? So to ask the question, what technical part of content creation do you struggle with the most, right? It's a great question. So let me give you an illustration. For me, I'm a Canva junkie. I absolutely love using Canva. It's so much fun, messing with overlays and animations and doing all that. It just makes me feel good. I feel creative because I can't draw, and I can't, I'm not really artistic with my hands or whatever, but I feel like arranging things that other people have done makes me feel, artistic. But I can spend 14 hours trying to perfect this perfect overlay for whatever, or create that logo that I want and feel like I'm doing something, right? Feel like like it's really important or whatever. Or I can spend $5 on Fiverr for someone to burp out 5 logos that would be just fine. Or go to a free logo designing website where you punch in your name and it shoots out a logo. It's good enough, move on. If you are terrible at it, or you really struggle with it, or you don't have the skills, or you don't have the ability, you don't have the software, do yourself a favor and just simply say, you know what? I actually can't do that. I'm moving on. It's part of that first one, which is, like just doing things to feel like you're doing things. But it's connected to the fact that the reason, even if it is important, it's something you need to do. If you're terrible at it, just give it to someone else. Just do, or cut it, right? Fine. Right. This logo is good enough. I'm not going to upgrade my logo. That's it. I'm moving on, right? So what are you good at? So what are you bad at? Was the first question. What are you good at? What do you find interesting? Making content with something you dislike or are terrible at will destroy your motivation and frustrate your audience. This is the person who believes that they need to play the popular game, or believes that they need to talk about that certain subject, or they need to draw a certain type of way, or they have to be funny, or whatever it is. That in their mind, this is the thing, that this is how you have to do it, and this is what I want to do. And they hate it. They absolutely hate it. They started their stream and they wanted to be a Fortnite expert because they wanted to reach people in that area. But after 6 months, they hate the game now. Maybe they're getting a little better, but they just don't want to play anymore. The thing is, you are going to be frustrated. You're not going to want to make content anymore. Your motivation is not going to be there, and you're going to be a grumpy person on stream. I was talking to, I won't use her name, but I was talking to somebody recently who has a music stream, and they're like, "Man, I want to I want to try playing a game. Maybe my people want me to play a game." So they went and they picked a game, and it was like one of those puzzle games that you got to fit things in and wander around the room and find all the clues and whatnot. And they hated it. They were like so frustrated. And this person's like cozy streamer, super nice, really chill, amazing person. And then they turned into like the Hulk. Well, trying to play this game, and they're like, and like that is not their vibe. So if they tried to push it a little bit, look, I'll get through this. This might be something I can do. But they were miserable. Their people were miserable. Their view count went down. It just wasn't working out. It is perfectly valid for you to say, listen, I'm bad at those kind of games. I'm bad at humor. I'm bad at whatever it is. I'm bad at, that kind of art system, or I'm bad at that doing podcasts that have special effects or whatever. And so I'm not going to do it. It makes me miserable, and I'm not going to do it. So do things that focus on your audience and move them forward. But if you suck at it, stop, right? I know that sounds like it should be a natural thing, but how many people do we know that just plow into something that is just miserable for them, and they just won't stop because somehow they have this vendetta against it, and it's not helping, and nobody's happy. Okay? Work smarter, not harder. Next one, organize or agonize. So in our little trip up the mountain, you'll never get to the top of the mountain if you can't find your stuff and you don't know when the sun sets, right? You have to be able to know where your things are. You have to be able to be not regimented, not perfect. You know what I mean? We're not trying to be perfect, but we need to be able to know where our stuff is. And that includes in software. That includes your file system on your computer. That includes, your pens and pencils on all the rest of that stuff, and includes everything else. But if you don't know where stuff is, you're going to waste time. Now, it may seem like maybe it took me 10 minutes to find that thing. What's 10 minutes? Well, stretch that over a month. Stretch that over 6 months. That's hours of content creation time. That's hours of community building time that you've given away to try to go and find that stuff because you didn't clean your room. Organizing your life and tools will make you more efficient, saving you time and frustration. Having a plan for your stream podcast respects people's time and attention. That's another one. Like, it's not just about being organized. It's about being organized when you come to your content, right? Your stream, your podcast, even the comic you're releasing, the music you're releasing, the time schedule of your release and things like that. You respect people's time when you come in with a plan. I know I see far too many content creators who show up on stream, and the first thing out of their mouth is, I don't know what I'm doing today. I don't know why I'm here. I have no idea. I don't know what I'm playing. I don't know what I'm saying. Then why are you there? Right? The people that are in your chat, the people that have come to your content, they have 10,000 other people they could be watching and 10,000 other things they could be doing. But they have given you their attention. And you just looked at them and said, I don't care about that your time because I didn't take the time to figure anything out. Why would they stick around? Why should they stick around? You're disrespecting their time and their attention. It's a gift. Them giving you their attention is a gift. So you better be ready for it and you better respect it. So when you walk in, and you don't have to have, and this is the last point here, you don't need to be perfect, right? 80% organized is plenty, right? 80% of your desk organized, like your desk can be a wreck, but the rest of it's fine. That's fine. 80% organized is fine. 80% of a stream plan is perfectly fine. Like I know what I'm going to say. I know when I'm going to stream. I know when I'm going to start. I know what I'm going to play. I know what I'm going to, I've got this plan for what I'm going to say. I'm going to do a giveaway, whatever. And the rest of it, we all know how it works. Things go sideways, stuff happens or whatever. But walking with a plan not only allows you to be excited about it, but allows you to actually be able to say to them, I care about you. And so therefore I want you to be able to enjoy this, what I'm about to do, because I've given thought to it. It's I honestly think nobody should be streaming without a plan. I don't think you should stream without a plan ever, or podcast without a plan. The podcast thing is frustrating too, because everybody thinks they're clever and everybody thinks everything they say is super smart and super funny. And so they sit there and they record a 3-hour podcast with their friend. And they just think they're the most, wittiest people in the entire world. But the truth is that only about 30 minutes of that was worth listening to for the audience that you were actually trying to reach. So therefore, you not taking the time to edit it, not taking the time to plan it out, not taking the time to stick to whatever the topic at hand was, disrespects your audience's time, which is why they're not sticking around, which is why your retention level goes down. Same with videos. Right? Same with videos. You have to be able to have that plan for what you're going to do. Stick to the plan, release it, release only the gold, only the good stuff, let them have it, and then let go. There will be another podcast in the future. There will be another video in the future. It is perfectly valid for you to stop talking when you've got nothing to talk about. Right? All right, keep going. Evaluate or stagnate. This is a tough one for some people because they don't like evaluation. Some people really get worried when it comes to the test that's coming and what they got on the test and what percentage it'll be and what grade they got. They get real stressed out, and so they avoid it at all costs. So talking about our time up the mountain, right? There's lots of ways up the mountain. Which one is best for your group? So just because you are going from here to here, the bottom of the mountain to the top, doesn't mean your group is the way up there is the best one. Maybe you're a rescue squad and you need to take the helicopter because you got to get there quick. Maybe you've got people that are afraid of heights and they don't hike much. So you got to take the slow meandering road to break them in and, not have a lot of elevation. Maybe you got people that are mountain climbers in there and they want it hard and really challenging. There's more than one way up the mountain. What's best for you, right? And what that means is you need to understand your audience and you need to understand how to get them to where you want to get them. Maybe the way that you're producing your content isn't great for them. I was talking to somebody just yesterday, and they were talking about how, they were choosing their games and it's hard to choose games. And it's, they're like, I'm going through my backlog and, whatever. And I asked them, I said, does your audience want you to play games? And they're like, their little brain went, I hadn't thought of that before. Let me think about that, right? And the answer is maybe not. Maybe you don't need to play games. It's just because you're on Twitch doesn't mean you need to play games. Maybe there's something else they want. There's been people out there that they've done a certain kind of content for a long time. Then they do something silly like a cooking stream, or they do a just chatting, or they do an AMA, or they do something different, and all of a sudden their entire community lights up. And they just go, what just happened? Well, it turns out their community was kind of interested in the game stuff, maybe sort of, but they really loved whatever happened during that cooking stream or during that extra little bit there. Why? Because they were thirsty for some meaningful thing that you did. What happened there? Let's evaluate that. Just because you're on Twitch, just because you're doing a podcast doesn't mean that it needs to sound like everybody else's. When I had a podcast, I did a weird thing. I wrote dramas. I wrote skits for the beginning of our podcast based on whatever our topic was going to be. So I had like a teacher and like a doctor, pastor guy, and me, and I'd throw them a script and I'd say, hey, this is what you're going to do now. Let's start recording. And we would kind of like script out a little silly play, and I'd add sound effects, and it was a ton of fun. And I got more and more traction from it because I'm like, we were talking about Bible stuff. We were talking about life stuff, but the hook that we did was some kind of fun skit thing. It was something a little weird. Podcasts generally, aren't, especially information podcasts, they don't have funny little skits at the beginning. We did. So evaluate or stagnate. Determining where you are in location to your goal is very important. To truly become an excellent creator, you must be constantly evaluating yourself. Question everything. That means you have to look into your analytics, right? How am I doing? How am I growing? What are people doing? I'm talking to streamers, and so therefore I'm a streamer, so I tend to use a lot of streamer illustrations. But this works for everybody, right? If you're a digital, releasing things on Twitter, or you're releasing things on TikTok, or you are putting out music or whatever, you've got evaluation, you've got analytics that you can look at. But like, for example, your emotes, right? For Twitch, your emotes on Twitch. Have you ever looked in to see whether or not anybody's actually using them? Right? Go look at the analytics. What if, nobody's using the like bottom 4 at all, ever, not even me? Then that's not effective. Or how about, how your subscribership, is it going up? Is it stagnating? Is it stuck? Right? How have you been growing and meeting new people? Have you been, your Discord? Maybe you're getting a lot of people on your content through connecting with your excellent content, but nobody's getting to your Discord. Nobody's actually taking the next step. Or maybe they do in your Discord, but your coffee, your Patreon, the thing that you're trying to get support from, the next step in engaging with you, your content, and going deeper with what you want them to do, they're not getting there. Why are they not getting there? Why isn't there a bridge there? Right? The one I like to be silly with, but it's legit, and that is, what color are you using? Right? For whatever your overlays or your advertising or your logo or whatever it is. Because if you are using, hard reds and hard yellows and blacks, but you're trying to be a cozy streamer, you're kind of giving off the wrong vibe. Or if you're trying to be an aggressive, competitive streamer, competitive gamer or whatever, but you've got all like the pink and paisley and you've got like little vines hanging around and whatnot, you're probably giving off the wrong vibe. So people are going to come to your stream, they're going to look at it, they're going to immediately judge it based on what color it is, and they're going to either stick around and go, this isn't what I thought it was, or they're going to go, I wonder why this choice was made. Maybe they don't know what they're doing. Right? It's going to affect. So ask yourself, is the color that I'm using the right color? Is my logo, is my banner, is my about, is my my content streaming time, right? That's one that I struggle with. I stream from 12 to 4, and like every single day I get a comment that's like, dude, I want to listen to your content, but I'm at work. I want to, but I'm at work. Why can't you just do it when I'm not at work? And the truth is that it's not when my energy peaks, and therefore it would be a really miserable stream. And so nobody wants a miserable streamer. So ask the question. Now, here's some good questions you kind of ask yourself. And that is, are you as excited about making content as you used to be? When you started this thing and you were really excited about it, and it was like, man, I can't wait to get on stream. I can't wait to draw that picture. I can't wait to get in front of my guitar. I can't wait to mess with that, that digital whatever. That was really cool. I release it. I'm excited to see what happens. I'm looking for the likes. I'm looking for the people to respond to it. Or is it now, it's like, man, I don't know. I got to go to stream, and I got to get on there, and I got to play that thing I don't want to play, and I got to draw the thing I don't want to draw, and I want to, I'm so sick of it. Ask yourself why. Where did the excitement go? Is it that you've stagnated in your content and you haven't challenged yourself? Is it that you have no numerical growth, and therefore you really, the buzz of, wow, people are really enjoying this, it's gone? You're not getting energy from people. Maybe it's that you haven't had a meaningful conversation in a while. People have been showing up to your stream. People have been coming and you get the same numbers. But what really juices you is when you get that deep conversation that really goes somewhere and you feel like you're impacting someone's life. And that hasn't happened for a while, which is maybe why it's starting to feel like a grind. Ask yourself, am I as excited to be here as I used to be? Now, we talked about at the beginning, it's a lot of work. Sometimes it's just work. You got to show up to work. I said the other day when I was streaming, I'm on here, I taught, I did the personal development stuff, and I'm like, and now we're going to play Minecraft because that's my job. I don't want to, but it's my job. I'm going to do that now. And I have a weird job, and that's the way it is. Because really, I'm like, I'm sick. I want to go lie down. But I made a commitment that I'm going to stream at least 3 hours, and we are going to do some Minecraft stuff. So I show up and do my commitment. But I still had fun, Is your content as interesting or effective as it could be, right? Have you attracted new people, and is the existing audience engaged? This is a really critical one. Like, for example, if you want to grow, and I think everybody wants to grow, I think everybody should try to grow. Therefore, ask the question, am I, right? Am I attracting new people? But another one is, are the people that I've already attracted actually engaged with what I'm doing? Because it could be that they're showing up and they're lurking, right? They're showing up, they're lurking, they're listening to the thing, they're liking your tweet, they're hitting the heart on your picture, they're your podcast is being whatever listened to, but they're not engaging, right? They're not really in chat, they're not really leaving comments, you're not getting that email back. When you ask for ideas, you're not getting ideas back because your existing audience is committed to you, but the content isn't stimulating, right? You got to ask that question. Okay, because you got to respect the audience you have as much as, if not more than, the audience you're trying to reach. Last one, is your audience moving towards where you want them to go? Which means, when was the last time you had a success story? And by success story, I don't mean, I got a really big raid, or I had I went viral or whatever. What I mean is connected directly to your mission, right? If you're trying to serve, young men who who don't know the Bible and have a lot of questions. When's the last time you had a young man ask a bunch of questions and you were able to give them answers, right? I don't care how many raids you got, and I don't care how many numbers you got, and I don't care how far your Discord got, and I don't care all the cool things you did. If your mission, your vision is to reach this group, when was the last story you had that you actually reached or did anything special with that group? Doesn't have to be huge. It doesn't have to be huge. Just could be, man, I had a really cool conversation the other day. That's it. That's enough. That's a win. That's a success story. But you have to criticize yourself and say, okay, I'm doing a lot, but am I getting people where I want them to go? Am I helping people the way I want to help them? Am I really giving the information to the people who need the information, or am I just repeating over and over and over the same stuff to the same people? Right? They're not growing anymore. It's just they've hit grade 6, and you're in grade 6, and you're a grade 6 teacher, and you've just repeated grade 6 over and over and over and over. You feel like you're teaching, they feel like they're in class, but you're not getting any further ahead. So ask the question. Sometimes it's hard. People really don't like it because it's a lot of work when you realize that you are not doing it right, or it hasn't been going well like you thought it was. So I'm going to pause there. We've covered a lot. Let me push at you and just kind of ask the question, the last few things. Does anybody have anything they want to ask or say? Schedule your priorities. So on the mountain illustration, if you don't schedule time for breaks, meals, and stops, you will burn everyone out, or you'll never get anywhere. What'll end up happening, you'll have one of two problems. You will go charging up the mountain and use up all your energy. You'll forget to eat, and everybody will be tired and they'll pass out and you won't be able to get there. Or every time somebody raises their hand is like, can I have a little break? Can I have a little break? You'll be stopping constantly and nobody will ever get anywhere, right? If you don't have a decent schedule that is set to your priorities, you're going to end up not going anywhere, or you're going to end up burning yourself out. If you don't take control of your day, others will control it for you. That's number one, right? So do you have a priority set? We've already talked about priorities. So asking that question, top 1, top 2, like I said, top 1 is I need to make decent content. Number 2 is I need to connect to my community in a meaningful way, right? Number 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the rest of that stuff. But Is your stream on your schedule? Is your stream prep on your schedule? Is I need to connect to my community and connect to Discord and make sure that I'm on there on your schedule, 1 and 2, hardwired, hard coded in there. This is when it happens. Nobody can touch it. It is sacrosanct. If you don't, what'll end up happening is like nature abhors a vacuum, and the world wants to fill your schedule, and you have an enemy that wants to distract you. And so therefore you're going to end up getting pulled in a million different directions that are all good. So-and-so wants some help, and so-and-so wants some help, and you got to do this thing and whatever. It's all going to get pulled, and you'll end up not being able to do priority 1 and 2 because you didn't hard code it into your schedule. If you go to I use Google Calendar and I use alarms. I use both because apparently the ding ding of a Google Calendar, not enough. I need it to actually yell at me. But it works for me, right? It works for me. I want to make sure I get there, and I'm going to make sure I do it. When I go on stream, I go from 12 to 4. I try to anyway, until I pass out at 3:30. But I have it locked in at 11 a.m. No, 11 a.m. is the bare minimum for me to get in there and be working on my stream because I want an hour of prep time before I have to go. So the locked in time isn't just noon when I start. The locked in time is an hour before, right? Yeah, I'm in my office before that doing other stuff, but I need to make sure that I'm ready. So that stops. Everything stops at 11. Time to prep stream. So ask the question. If I don't do that, there are plenty of people in the house that want me to do other stuff. You know what I mean? But that's just the way it is. And sometimes you got to have those hard conversations. We'll talk about that later. But you got to have that hard conversation. Be like, no, this is important. It's critically important that I do this thing. It may look like I'm sitting on my phone, just twiddling my thumbs, but I'm engaging with my community, and I'm making sure they feel cared for and loved, and I'm making sure that they all feel like I'm present. That's what I'm doing right now as I sit here on the couch, for the next 30 minutes. That's what I'm doing. Perfectly appropriate. The issue isn't whether you're following your schedule, but if your schedule is following your priorities. That's something that people get confused sometimes. It's like, okay, you need a schedule. And so they just plug in like a bunch of stuff so that they can have a schedule, so they can look at it. Look how busy I am, and look how my schedule looks, and I've got it all lined up. But their schedule doesn't reflect the most important things in their life. Their schedule doesn't reflect the biggest priorities in their home, in their life, in their health, in their ministry. It's just a bunch of stuff, right? They've got take a shower on there, right? Things like that. It's like, yes, but is that priority 1 and 2? Is that what that, is it really up there? So the question is, your schedule, when you do your schedule, is it following your 1 or 2 priorities? Right? It's what are the most important things in my life? And am I locking them out? Maybe for you, it's a walk, right? Because you don't. Maybe for you, it's eating food because you keep forgetting. Maybe for you, it's I don't know, talking to your parents, talking to your mom, talking to your kid, talking to your significant other, because you keep forgetting to do that. And it's important. For me, I didn't call my mom for like a year and a half because I was busy, and she wasn't super happy with that. So I put an alarm on my phone, and it yells at me every Sunday to call my mom. So now I do. And she loves it. And she knows I'm calling every Sunday, same time. We have a conversation. It's great. Because it was a high priority for me, it goes on the schedule. That's really important. So, do you keep a calendar of appointments? I hope you do. I think you should. If you're an adult, I think you should. I don't really work like that is not enough. You do work like that. You live in a temporal zone that is known as this existence, and it only runs in one direction. Time matters. You gotta have a schedule. And the next one, what are the top 3 things you need to do in order to have a good stream or make good content? Right? What is that? What are your top 3 things? Right? Fix your OBS, get the tech ready, have something to say, update your stuff, pick a game, read the news, do your devos properly, make sure that you've contacted whoever that you need to contact. What are your top 3 things, and are they locked in to your schedule? Right? They got to be there. For me, if I didn't lock in doing the book, I would never do the book. There's lots of other things, and I keep getting pulled away from it and pulled away from it and pulled away from it. But it's like, no, Friday evening and Saturday after class, that is book time. Nothing. And it's hard for me to do because I've got a million other things on my mind, but that's hard coded. It's got to happen. Do you set aside time for them, or do you try to do them on stream? Don't, for the love of Mike. And again, I'm talking to streamers, and forgive me if you're a content creator and you do other non-stream stuff, but don't fix your stuff on stream. Okay? Give it a try. If you can't do it in 60 seconds, let it go. Okay? Let it go. Sorry guys, that doesn't work today. We're doing something else. Sorry guys, that doesn't work today. Don't give me channel points for that, because it's not going to work. Okay? Just let it go and move on, because what'll end up happening is you're getting frustrated and they're getting frustrated and your content has died, and anybody who comes in new thinks you don't know what you're doing. It's so frustrating. Then what you do is, when you are after stream, okay, bye. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you being here. Bye. I need to fix the thing. Get it done, fix it so that it's not a problem next time. Okay? Priorities. Reacting is not productive. Okay? Injuries, mosquitoes, bad weather, picture opportunities, all that stuff's going to happen. Are you ready? In other words, you can be very proactive in your life, right? You can have do all the calendar stuff and do all the planning and whatnot. Stuff's going to go sideways on you and things are going to happen. Are you ready for it? Right? We talked about the 80-20 principle. This is a great example. I talked before about, when you schedule 80%, don't do any more. Leave 20% margin in your life. Just leave that outside margin in your life unplanned. Why? Because it will fill in, I promise you. But if you lock it in and you got 100% of your calendar filled, you're going to be missing things. You're going to be unable to do emergency stuff or important things that came up or stuff that you forgot. So therefore, just lock out that 80%. And you know what? And I said it before, if you don't have anything to do on Thursday night because that was part of you left 80% around, you got nothing to do, that's okay. Take a rest, take a nap, play a game, go for a walk. Perfectly valid, because I promise you, next Thursday, it'll probably fill up. So just make sure you do that. So reacting is not productive. When you lose control of your life, you are no longer able to make good content. If you're always playing defense, and so you can't win on defense, the old Sports Illustration, that if you're constantly on defense and the other team is always in your end and they're always trying to score on you and you're always trying to just kind of stop them, you're never going to win the game, right? You're going to be exhausted and you're going to feel like you're pushing really hard, but you're not actually making any forward progress in what you're doing, because you're always on defense. What that means in your life is that when things are happening to you, whether it be, physical illness or stuff happening in your family or Twitch melts down or suddenly TikTok becomes illegal or, all these things that can happen, you are ready for them. You've at least put some thought into it. You got a little bit of a prep for it and you're kind of ready to go. So that way you're being proactive, not reactive. I think we'll talk about gaming, right? Or talk about music release, or talk about anybody who does reviews for podcasts, right? How many times have you had something happen in the news or happen in the events that you're trying to report on, and you're like, man, I wish I would have known that was happening. I'm behind. The DLC dropped. Man, I really wish I would have downloaded that last night. I didn't know it was happening. Or that new event was happening, or the Comic-Con was happening, or whatever I'm supposed to be talking about. It just man, I didn't even know it was happening. Why? Is it because you could have been proactive in having your algorithm or your Twitter or your news groups or whatever it is all designed in such a way that they'll feed it to you so you'll know things in advance? You're signed up to the email lists for important stuff that matters to you. Be proactive. Then you'll know you're prepped in advance. If you forget the ultimate, you'll become a slave to the tyranny of the urgent. And the ultimate is, your mission, your vision, the people that you're trying to serve, the content you're trying to create for them. If you forget that that's why you're doing what you're doing, I'm here to create content so I can build a community to serve the people that I care about in order to lead them towards a better life. That's what I'm doing here. If you forget that, you're going to be always distracted by stuff. Right? Be like, oh, I should play that new thing. Oh, I should talk about that weird subject. Oh, I should do a collab. Oh, I should, upgrade my headphones. Oh, I should, you'll have lots and lots and lots of things that kind of happen that will pull away and distract from that ultimate. Whereas if you always keep that ultimate in mind, nope, that doesn't meet the goal. Nope, that doesn't go where I want to go. Nope, that doesn't serve my community. Nope, that doesn't move my content forward. And it pushes, it clarifies, you get laser focused. So, do you know the schedule of what's dropping that's related to your content? Right? New game, DLC, song release, new hardware, software, update, sequel, news item, streaming platform change. Do you know what's happening? Are you informed? Like, do you know what's going down at Twitch? Do you know what's going down on TikTok? Do you know what's going down in whatever your favorite game that you play is? Do you know what's happening in that news that you talk about, or in the whatever the realm? Do you know what's going down? You need to be proactive. Then you're ready for it. Do you fix the glitches and problems you discovered during content creation promptly? Or do you deal with them and waste time? Or you keep dealing with them and wasting time? As in, like, every time you go on stream, you have to apologize for the same thing over and over and over, right? Be proactive. Fix it. That way you're not wasting time. Do you control interruptions and distractions? Phone, email, visitors. You have control over that. Your phone doesn't need to ding. Your phone doesn't need to be in the room, right? Your door can be closed. I don't even have alerts on Windows. I don't know why it even has alerts. I will never answer one. If I want to update my drivers, I'll go find them. I don't need it to tell me anything. I don't want to be distracted. I'm streaming, or I'm creating, or I'm in a conversation, or I'm doing Discord stuff. Therefore, leave me alone. I'll leave the room. Fine. I'm yours. We can do whatever you want. Do you have control over that? As in you. Do you have control? Some people, they get really distracted by stuff on their browser. Or they start playing games or whatever. You can get a browser, like a Chrome app that will like turn off your browser after an hour. Just doesn't work anymore because you needed self-control and you don't have it. Make the software do it for you. If you don't do that, you're going to be constantly reacting. Ding. Oh, what was that? Ding. Oh, what was that? Okay. Email. Okay. So what did you want? You'll never get anything done. Or whatever you do get done is going to be of poor quality because you weren't able to concentrate on it. Okay, before I keep moving, let's just take a second for conversation. Ask the question. We'll get into the no. That's the last slide before we jump into it. So what is does anybody have anything they want to comment on? Say no to the little things. This is very attached to the other stuff. What's going to keep the hardcore hikers or lollygaggers from setting your pace? Because if you're the one in charge and you're trying to get everybody where they need to go, you're going to have people that are just hardcore, that are like pushing you forward. Do this, we got to do, let's go. And you're going to feel a sense of urgency and wanting to run forward, leaving some folks behind. Or you're going to have folks that are just lazy and they don't want to go up the mountain. They never would have wanted to be there. Their mom made them go. And so they're going to try to pull you back and keep you from going because they don't want to do the work. What's going to keep people who are trying to push you faster than you want to go, or keep you from achieving a pace that you should be achieving? Well, say no to the little things. You must say no to the little things so you can say yes to the big things. Morality is knowing what's right and wrong. Wisdom is knowing which is good, better, and best. I've said it before that your job is not to do the good stuff. We talked about that before. You do the best stuff. We talked about the importance of developing excellence in the area in which you have skills and letting go of the stuff in which you don't, right? So, for example, we talked about before where I said, if you are bad at something and you want to improve, you put all the energy in, you will only ever get to adequate, right? But if you forget that and you pour that same energy into something you're good at, you will become excellent, right? So you will either live in adequacy or you'll become excellent at that one thing. So in other words, there will be a lot of good things around you, things that you want to do, do a charity stream, try to help somebody out on through Discord or whatever, tech support for other people and whatnot. It's all good, right? There's nothing wrong with it. The question is it taking away from what you are supposed to be doing? This part of this is trusting whether or not God is actually going to bring other people into that person's life. That are you the only one in the world who can do that? No, you're not. Trust that God has right people. Trust that the body of Christ has enough people in it. Trust that God knows what he's doing when he comes to equipping people, and trust that the position that you're in and the things that you get to do is important. It's important. And so therefore distracting from it is not a good thing, even if you're doing something positive or good. Sometimes it's a distraction from something you should be doing best. We're going to talk about how to say no to people in a minute. But before we do that, let's just kind of go to the other 2 points. Do you say no to good or mediocre ideas so you can invest the best ideas for your audience and content? Sometimes your audience will give you an idea. And because you have this, you want to make them happy and you think it's important, you immediately kind of change your content, or you import that idea because you're like, well, if somebody wants to see it, okay, I can do that. It's like a gift I'm giving them. It's like a present I'm doing for them. It's a service I'm providing. What if it's just a mediocre idea that is just one person's off the cuff thought, and it's just going to distract from everything you want to do, right? You can say no to that audience member. You can say no to that idea that pops into your head. You can say no to that collaboration, no to that sponsorship, no to that, whatever it is, because you're like, you know what? That's actually, it's an okay idea, but it is not great for my audience or content. For example, for me, sponsorship is weird. I think it'd be cool to have, G Fuel or whatever else, coffee people. But because of what I'm doing, because I'm becoming a nonprofit, because I'm literally trying to talk to people about God and trying to serve them and teach them and have my reputation is critically important. Attaching buy this stuff, you know what I mean, to it is weird. I talked to somebody about it, and he basically said, you know what? I only do that for things that I really believe in, and it's a service that I'm providing because they can get some time off, and I think it's really cool. So yeah, totally, it's not bad at all. But for me, I have to say, you know what? No, I'm not going to pursue sponsorship, and I'm not going to pursue those other things, because even if it's a good thing, it's not the best idea for my content, my audience, and it'll be a distraction. Could it pay a little some of the bills? Maybe, but that's okay. I'm not going to worry about that. What are some ideas that you've implemented or tried to implement that turned out to be a waste of time and a distraction from your visions or goals? I'm going to ask you that question. So like, here's the question. Did you ever try anything on stream in your content, drawing something, making a song, doing a different kind of instrumentality, doing a weird thing in your podcast, whatever it is, and you thought was a cool idea, but it turned out to be an absolute waste of time and distracted from everything you were trying to do? Have you ever had that experience? For me, it was Planet Taco. I created this whole environment. We paid a lot of money for it. We put it all together. It was designed well. I had mods for it. It was a big deal. And what it was is, what everybody who was part of Taco Team was going to have their own island. Their community could come in, and everybody could be like, have fun together on the same Minecraft server. And it ended up being an absolute waste of time. I pushed it and I pushed it and I pushed it, and I made videos about it, and I invited people, but nobody wanted to come. It wasn't the right thing for Taco, and it wasn't the right thing for what I was trying to do. It was a great idea I had that was an absolute waste of time, energy, money, effort, volunteer hours. It did not work. I had to let it go. And now I'm all upset with everybody because I started playing Minecraft again, and they're all like, "Hey, can I go on the server? Can I join the server too? Is this an open server?" I'm like, I had an open server. Okay, let's finish. We got about 2 minutes left. How to say no. It is, some people that really struggle with this. Maybe you struggle with this. So let's use the example of, hey, do you want to do a Fortnite collab stream with me? Okay, let's just assume it's not a good idea. So the first thing you do, you run it through your matrix. Obviously, we just talked about that. Is it fit my priorities? Does it fit my audience? Is it the right thing to do? Is it, morally right? All the rest of that stuff. And let's say the answer is no. It's not right for you. How do you say no to that person in such a way that they remain encouraged, that they're still your friend, and you don't feel like a bad guy? Number one, say no to the idea, not the person, right? Affirm the idea and then explain why it doesn't fit your goals. So for example, I love that you want to collab. That's a really cool idea. Thank you for that invitation. Collaborations are such a good idea. Boy, sure, a lot of people sure do like Fortnite. However, It doesn't fit my content schedule right now, and I'm not really a Fortnite streamer, so you know what? It's not right for me. It doesn't fit my goals. Like saying it doesn't fit my goals is probably a little rough, but it doesn't fit my schedule right now, and not really the content that I make. Second, respond to them in terms of the best interest of the asker. In other words, to respond to them in a way that makes their life better. Let them know you want to help but can't. So, for example, I want to see your channel grow. I think collab would be a great idea. That's a super neat idea. But the time that I would commit to it and my style, my skills, what we would play, that would make a bad stream for you. It wouldn't be a good stream for you because I would be struggling and I wouldn't enjoy the game and I would be asking tons of questions. It would be just miserable if I were to do that with you as a collaboration. So therefore, it's not good for you if I do that. Third thing, come up with an alternative. Think of a way that's going to help them accomplish their task. And that is, do you actually, you know what? I know somebody who's into Fortnite. I think they could be really good. They're a pretty cool person. Let me put you in touch with them. Or come to my Discord, throw that into the creator chat. You're gonna get somebody. I promise you. We've got a bunch of Fortnite weirdos in there that they're obsessed with it and they want to be on your stream. So yeah, tell you what. So that's the 3 ways to do it. And this works for everything, right? So like someone's like, "Hey, do you want to go to Burger King?" Well, I'd love to go for dinner with you. That sounds like a great idea. Absolutely. However, Burger King doesn't do anything good for my constitution, and therefore, I think it would be really cool if we could get together. Really cool if we could hang out. I want to spend time with you. So can we go to whatever else instead? Can we go to Dairy Queen instead, which is actually way worse. So not that, but right. So that's the system. No to the idea, not the person. It respond in best interest is in this it'd be better for you if I didn't. And here's how to make it better. Do that. You'll feel like a good guy. They'll walk away feeling like you helped and that you value them and you don't have to do the thing you didn't want to do. Okay. Cool. Let's open up to our evaluations now. We'll jump into the evaluations and yeah, that's the next thing. The answer is yes, and I'll tell you why. It's because ChatGPT does an amazing job at that, right? If you go to,
Awesome.
it's true. It's absolutely true. You go to ChatGPT. I have, this is the kind of channel I want, and this is the kind of content I make, and this is what I'm doing. Give me 10 ideas for streams and content that I can do that matches all that. It'll go, and it'll get you started, right?
Oh,
You can,
that's cool.
if you sign up for TubeBuddy, right, or there's a bunch of other places out there, and you say, I want to do a video, right? It'll actually go through and give you the top 10 videos you could make. Here's some ideas you can do, and then spit out a real script. Here's your whole script. Just read this and you have a YouTube video, right? There are a lot of automated systems out there that can help you with that. So if you're struggling, you're like, I don't know what to do week to week, and it's getting stale. Just go, grab one of those things and just spit it, have an AI spit out 10 ideas. Even if 3 of them are good, you're ahead of the game, right? Or do you need to go back to your roots because you're no longer reaching the people you intended to reach? Right? That actually happens a lot to Christian streamers. It's the same kind of pattern. What'll happen is they will start evangelistic and they'll start like, I'm excited. I want to reach the lost and I want to reach the hurting and I want to reach the lonely. And they'll put the Christian tag on there because they want to, show that they're a Christian, and a bunch of Christians will show up into their stream. And then the Christians will be super encouraging, like super cool, awesome people who are very encouraging, and they'll give them subs and they'll be like, good job, keep up the good work, you're the best. And without really thinking about it, they start to reach, or they start to alter their content towards the Christians. And they start to talk to them a bit more, and they start to, do a bit more weird Bible stuff, and they sound more Christianese, and they start, and everybody in chat is a Christian now, and they're loving it because that's what they want to hear. But what ended up happening was your original people that your heart was for, the lost, lonely, disenfranchised, disillusioned, you're no longer reaching them. You're preaching to the choir now. And you think you're doing well. You think you're successful because the numbers are up. More Christians are showing up. You get to have really cool conversations. You actually missed the boat, right? You succeeded in the wrong way. Let me answer that first question you were talking about, like making that transition, moving them forward, right? I think the
Yeah.
first thing you have to ask yourself is, does it have value, right? The place you're trying to put them, it can't just simply be a simmering pot or a collecting zone for people who like your stream, because that's not good enough, right? You're not trying to get them to sit there and be like, hey, now do ministry with each other, or now care for each other. There has to be value. There has to be some reason for them to be there and for some reason for them to engage, whether because you're there all the time and you're giving them extra content, or because you have a team set up that gives them support, or because you have tools there that they can't access anywhere else, or because you have a mod system that allows them to be able to serve and help each other, or you have a Q&A, or whatever it is. There has to be value to the place you're doing it. And so you get them to their Discord and like, well, now I want them to go on to Coffee or Patreon, because I want them to be able to, get the next step in commitment. Well, ask the question, what value are you giving them when they go to Patreon, when they go to Coffee? What are you telling them when they join and give you that extra bit of commitment? What do they get? And the second thing is to ask the question of yourself, am I inviting them? Right? Am I excited about the thing that I'm bringing them to? Man, you really got to come to this. I worked really hard on it and it's got value. Please come over there. Are you consistently inviting people to this thing that you actually think has value? Because and one of those two things is going to be broken. One is going to be something I don't know why I have a Discord and I don't do anything right with it, so it has no value. Or I don't invite people to it because either I don't like it or I don't think it's valuable, or I don't want to be there, or I just keep forgetting to tell people to come, right? If you can get those two things together, one, like have something valuable, and also invite people because you're excited about it, it'll start to grow. It'll start to grow. Then don't have one. That's perfectly valid, right? What you can do then is you go find a Discord that you do value and invite them to join that. Well, you just said that you're very supportive. That's value. When you come to my Discord, you will get more love. I will give you 30% more love than I do give you on stream, right? That way you will get more, you'll feel more supported and cared for on a more consistent basis in between streams. That's the value I give you when you show up, which means you have to do that. It means you have to be consistent. You got to show up. You got to be engaging with people. You got to make sure that you're connecting with them on a purposeful way. And that's more than enough. That's value. That's value.